Hello, welcome to this video that's all about becoming a lawyer. I need to offer a disclaimer straight away. I'm not a lawyer, in fact I'm not even a law student yet, so feel free to take everything I say with a pinch of salt. However, there is a reason why I'm making this video, and that's because I have read so much about becoming a lawyer. It's quite embarrassing actually to admit. Therefore, I think everything I say, if it isn't entirely factual, if it's not entirely factual, it does have some basis in fact. The thing which caused me to make this video was that I see so many forum posts from young people who want to become lawyers. And I say young people, it sounds really condescending considering I'm like 17, but you've got 14 and 15 year olds thinking, what do I need to pick in my GCSEs to successfully become a lawyer? So the whole purpose of this video is to start right up when you pick your GCSEs to when you're actually qualified to be a lawyer. So here we go. First off with GCSEs. What you pick doesn't matter, but you should pick history because it's the best GCSE in my opinion. In all seriousness, you should pick subjects like history, subjects like RS, subjects like, if literature isn't already compulsory, pick literature. The reason you should pick these subjects is literature in particular, it'll allow you to take it onto A-level, and literature is a good one to have for A-level to go on to do law, but also it builds up your essay writing skills. So even subjects like RS, which aren't very content heavy, they are really, really hard because you have to write so much in such a short period of time. So picking subjects like that at GCSE are really worthwhile. Don't worry too much though, you can do stuff like music and drama and other kind of like food tech. It's not going to hold you back as long as you don't do awfully in them. And in fact, even if you do get like a D in food tech, it's not going to be the end of the world. You can still become a lawyer. What do you need to get in your GCSEs? Well, the easy answer is as many A stars and A's as possible. See, you can become a lawyer with really rubbish GCSEs, but to get into like the best city firms, to become a barrister, you're looking at a large percentage of A stars and A's, because quite frankly, people you're competing against will have all A stars, and so it's important you try and get as close to that, if not meet that if you can. So I would say at least if you're doing 10, 5 A stars is a good number to aim for. Aim for 10 A stars. If you get 5, you can still look at some of the best jobs in the legal profession. AS and A levels. For AS, choose at least one heavy essay subject. So choose literature, history, or to be honest, choose one of literature or history. And then if you want to do the free sciences, go for it. If you want to do maths, go for it. As long as they're good academic subjects. I'm not going to go into too much detail and talk about what I think of facilitating subjects. Pick literature, history, maths is a good one, sciences are good. If you do a subject like economics or RS or politics or I don't know, like psychology, those are good subjects, but they're not considered as respectable as like literature and history basically, and maths and the sciences. So try and keep those subjects to 1 or 2 slots, 2 at the most if you're doing 4 AS levels. If you're doing 3, good number is literature or history, another science if you want, and you know, if you really want to, something like economics, something like politics, psychology, that kind of stuff. What do you need to get at ASA level? AS, you should really be aiming for, if you're doing 4, 2 A's and a B, 2 A's and 2 B's at least. I think the main aim is getting predicted A star AA. Why A star AA in particular? Those are the entry requirements for Cambridge, the London School of Economics, UCL, King's, Queen Mary, which it's debatable whether or not they should ask for A-star AA, but they do. Durham. So the top law schools. Notice I haven't said Oxford because they give AA offers at the moment. But for the most part, if you get A-star AA predictions, you can apply to practically any law school. The exception that I know of is there are certain scholarships at King's College London, and they ask for A-star A. But for the most part, A-star AA, you're good. Then, which university should you go to? This is a question which is quite controversial. And I will answer it by saying, it depends what you want to do. So, if you want to be a solicitor at a top firm, it's going to be the Russell Group are a good bet. Leicester's also a good bet. St Andrews is also a good bet. That being said though, be careful with Edinburgh, St Andrews and Glasgow because they offer Scottish law, which means you're going to have to do a GDL, but we'll go on to that in a second. So yeah, the Russell Group, for a solicitor, you're looking at Oxbridge, King's, London School of Economics, UCL, Durham, Exeter, Bristol, Warwick, Manchester, Sheffield, maybe Liverpool. If you get to a Russell Group uni, you can make a competitive application to get a training contract. That being said though, you do get a lot from Oxbridge, you do get a lot from the London unis, so you need to be getting the top grades, I think, to be a solicitor at a top firm. So you're at university. What do you do at university? If you want to be a solicitor, look out for vacation schemes. Things like summer and spring. They're kind of like open days, but you go there and you experience the firm. Some of them are assessed, some of them aren't. So keep an eye out for schemes like that. You should be looking to do some sort of debating, some sort of mooting, that kind of stuff. Any extracurriculars, anything which helps you stand out from the crowd and also makes you more interesting are always great. Also make sure you focus on your degree because you need a 2-1 basically. A lot of law firms, especially the Magic Circle, they ask for your first year results, whereas lots of other jobs don't. So don't doss about in your first year, try and get a first in your first year, that kind of stuff. Just constantly be building on your CV, be working hard. It's quite simple really. I've spoken a little bit about which universities and grades you should be looking to get if you want to be a solicitor. If you want to be a barrister, the answer is much more simple. Oxbridge and the best Russell Group unis. If you need to be careful because there are exceptions. Overwhelmingly, you need to go to Oxbridge, but you do get barristers which come from like Warwick, King's, the LSE, UCL. Trying to think if I've seen any more. There are a few. The good unis which will get you into a job as a solicitor, they could potentially get you a job as a barrister. You need to be looking at getting a first, because there is so much competition, it's unbelievable. That is why it is so important if you want to become a barrister, aim for Oxbridge. If you don't get in, aim for another really great university and aim at getting a first. So if you want to become a barrister, while you're at university, it's really important to look at getting mini pupilages, but also the same stuff, so mooting, building yourself as a person. I've seen a lot of barrister CVs, they understand multiple languages. I've met one barrister who went and did some work with death row inmates in Texas, and so it's all about trying to differentiate yourself, trying to build the skills which you're going to need, and just trying to make yourself the best applicant that you can. Interestingly, if you're a would-be solicitor, You can apply for training contracts, we'll go on to that in a second, but you can apply basically for jobs. In the middle of your second year, I'll correct that like here, but there were some changes quite recently to when law firms can employ law students, but to my knowledge it's the middle of the second year or the end of the second year, definitely in the third year. And what's so great about this is, as I explained, the process of becoming a lawyer after you graduate. There's so much more security, I think, being a solicitor, but of course that will depend entirely on what you want to do. I've got to mention that if you're an A-level student or a GCSE student, get some work experience because it's really useful. And not even for getting into a university, but just to figure out what you want to do with your life. It was the work experience I did with barristers which just made that all I wanted to do with my life. So you've got your degree, you've got a 2-1 from a very good university if you want to become a solicitor, at least a 2-1 by the way, if first helps. You've got a first or a 2-1 from Oxbridge or a great university if you want to become a barrister. What do you do next? If you study law at university, you start here. If you didn't study law at university, or if you studied like Scottish law, then you start off here. It is so interesting, right? Because you can do law with you can do law at the LSE and not get a qualifying law degree, but you can do law with anthropology at the LSE and get a qualifying law degree. The 7 modules you need to do, and this is always a fun test to see if I can remember them. It is criminal, tort, contract, public, land, and I know EU, and I'll put it here. This is just awful, isn't it? Really, it's going to be here. I'll just apologise really for not knowing. Anyway, so you need to do 7 modules. I've heard them called the 7 deadly sin modules. Apparently they're quite hard, at least some of them are. And I think this is a really great opportunity to make a point. If you only like criminal law, it's only going to be like a 7th of your law degree. So it makes no sense at all to do an entire degree where you're only going to like a tiny part of it. Like, if you want to study law, you should look at all of not only the 7 compulsory modules, but other optional modules. That's something to consider if you're trying to debate whether or not to start off here or here. Law degrees are supposedly quite dry. I don't think so. I really like the stuff I've read. But if you're more interested in the vocational aspect of law than the academic and philosophical side to it, it might be better to do like a history degree or a medicine degree or any degree at all at a great university and start off here. I'll stop going on about stuff that happens before graduation now. You graduated, congratulations. So you either have a non-qualifying law degree, you go and do the GDL, which is a law conversion course. That's where they take the 7 deadly sin modules and they pack them all into 1 year. It is apparently hell, but it gets it done in a year, so it's not that bad. And then it gets you over to the same place as everyone else who did a law degree. On your left-hand side, you've got the barrister route. Right-hand side, you've got the solicitor route. So if you want to become a solicitor, you need to do the LPC, which takes a year. What's really interesting is if you get a training contract prior to doing the LPC, it's quite likely that they'll actually pay to do it. If you don't get a training contract, this is often a place where some law students think, alright, I don't want to pay lots of money, because it is quite a lot of money, to do the LPC and then not get a job. So this is where some law students think, nope, just go and do something else. And to be honest, you can do so many amazing things with a law degree, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so you've done your LPC, which takes a year, and that's all about learning a more vocational side to the law. Then you have to do a training contract for 2 years. This is where a firm, which if you're lucky paid for your LPC, has you for 2 years. They put you in a variety of what are called seats, so you'll sit in different quite literally sit in different parts of the office and learn different parts of law. And what this does is it gives you a holistic view of what job you could possibly do. It helps you choose which very specific area of law you want to go into. And it's just a learning experience. You get paid a lot of money if you get into a Magic Circle firm while doing your training contract. I don't want to quote anything, but it's about £40,000 in your first year of training at places like Clifford Chance. It is way more at other firms, but you can be making a lot of money if that's what you're into. I'll go into more the pros and cons of being a solicitor and a barrister in a minute, but just to go through and explain what you do if you want to become a barrister. You do your BPDC. In between here and here, you join an Inn of Court. There are 4 Inns of Court. These are they're like kind of societies, I guess. They're clubs of wannabe barristers and actual barristers. There is Gray's, Lincoln's, Inner Temple and Middle Temple. If you've ever been to London, the Temple tube station is named after these Inns of Court. So yeah, anyway, you join an Inn of Court, you do your BPTC. This again is a vocational kind of course, similar to the LPC, in the sense that it's building upon your legal knowledge. But with the BPTC, you'll learn things like advocacy and how to actually be a barrister. Then you try your best. Notice how I say try and not do. So you try very hard to get a pupilage, and if you're very lucky, you'll get one. And this is a year, so the first half of the year is spent following like a barrister, a proper barrister, where you just learn stuff. And it's likely in the second half of your pupilage, you might get small bits of work. This whole year is really important because it can be crucial in getting you tenancy. And tenancy is basically a job as a barrister. I'll go into more about that in a second. So before I go and talk a little bit more about life as a barrister, I'll talk about life as a solicitor. If you want to become a corporate solicitor, you will earn lots of money. You'll work very long hours, and I'm sure you'll meet loads of really amazing people. It's a team job, generally speaking, in the sense that you will likely never meet the people you're working for. They'll never meet you. They probably don't care who you are. In fact, you'll be working with a small, or in fact a very large group of people to get one thing done. There are opportunities to get some individual recognition. You can become a partner and work your way up like that. But it is much more of a team job. You're a member of the firm. The firm doesn't owe anything to you. You actually, after getting the training contract with them, it's likely that they've paid for your uni fees and your LPC, therefore you kind of owe them. You'll be doing much more paperwork. If you become a corporate solicitor, it's unlikely you'll ever go into court. The exceptions, of course, are the new groundbreaking solicitor advocates, which are starting to appear in courts. These are solicitors who are able to speak in court. Before a few years ago, it was only barristers which could speak in court. So if that interests you, that might be cool. I've talked a lot about like the big firms in the Magic Circle. If you'd like to work in, say, a high street firm, you follow a similar kind of process, and a lot of it is paperwork. So it's not how, in these American legal dramas, you have the lawyer who not only does the firm kind of work of research and paperwork, but he also goes into court and shouts things. Because in America they don't have this distinction between a barrister and solicitor. You're just a lawyer, and therefore every lawyer can speak in court basically. So don't watch Suits and think that being a solicitor is anything to do with Suits. It's not. and that program, it's inspired so many people to want to do law, which is a great thing, but I don't think it's inspired them for the right reasons. So, there's definite pros and cons. You'll work really hard, you'll make lots of money, and if you're not very keen on speaking in court, being a solicitor could be a really good idea. Then if you want to become a barrister, so I've already said you need to go to, well, it's very helpful to go to Oxbridge. It's very helpful to go first. Public speaking is far more important. A lot of barristers are self-employed. And the way I've described this in the past is that you have chambers which offer pupilages and they offer tenancy. They don't employ you, you work for yourself. The chambers provide things like, obviously the office, like stuff like stationery, equipment. They also pay your clerks. And how it works is you pay part of your earnings each month or year to the chambers, and that's what keeps everything running. So there's far more opportunity, I think, to work alone. And in some sense, it's nice how with the legal profession you've got these two parallels. You've got working in large groups, working by yourself, and very rarely you might be working with one other person. BPDC, the barrister route, is much riskier. So it's unlikely you'll get any funding for your BPDC. In fact, it's unlikely you'll get, it sounds really horrible, but it's unlikely you'll get a pupilage at all. The huge issue that's going on with the bar at the moment is that there are so many law school places to do the BPDC, but there aren't enough pupilages. So what ends up happening is you not only have the group of people applying in your year, but you've also got the group of people who applied last year. And in fact, they've even got the people who applied the year before them, and it keeps going. So they're all trying to get through this goal. But there are just so many people and not many spaces available. Therefore, it's incredibly competitive, and it's not something which I would say you should do unless you're, one, willing to take the risk, two, highly intelligent and very skilled, and three, if you're able, I think, to take the risk. There are some people who say that the bar is so heavily dominated by white upper middle class males because not only do they have the best education, they end up going to universities like Oxbridge, they also can afford to fail, right? If they don't get pupillage the first time round, they're not going to have to start getting a part-time job as a paralegal. They can just keep going until they get it. And so, although it is the riskier route, the bar is an excellent profession. It's my dream job. It's because it provides a lot more independence. Your wages can fluctuate quite a lot depending on whether or not you get business that month. But still, it's a lot of independence. You might end up actually speaking to your clients. What happens a lot of the time actually is, especially in criminal, you'll have solicitors speaking to clients and then they'll speak to barristers. That changes a lot. The main thing I think for barristers, speaking in court, self-employed, much riskier. Also you get to wear a wig, if that helps. The bottom line is, the legal profession can be incredibly rewarding, and if you're considering it, well done. I don't think you should consider it, one, because of the money, that's my opinion, or two, because it's prestigious. There are so many prestigious jobs, there are so many well-paying jobs. The legal profession is so ridiculously competitive. I haven't used any statistics. If I did, they would be scary. But it's not all doom and gloom. If you're passionate, if you get a good law degree, if you work hard, you can become a barrister or a solicitor. and have a great life, I guess. So that's a nice note, I think, to leave it on. I really hope this video has been useful. My throat is killing me, I've been speaking for ages. I'm sure there are parts also where I rambled on, and I really apologise for that. But nonetheless, please like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more of my content, and I hope to see you again next time.